We're back to the Neil Haley Show, and my guest today, she's talked about last year about paperwork and paperwork just hitting us and how we stay organized with our paperwork and how older adults just get inundated with paperwork. So my guest today is Ruth Levy. Ruth, thanks for stopping by. And it's something that's terrible. The amount of paperwork that keeps on piling up on people, just average people. But when it's coming to older adults, especially if there's probate involved and the grandkids are involved, or the older adult children, it just becomes ridiculous, doesn't it?
It does. It only seems to multiply. In fact, the stats show that we get about the equivalent of a house, a 2-story house. That's if you pile up all the paperwork we get in a year, how much mail we get. That's a lot of paperwork. You're literally buried.
How can we keep that from all the mail that comes in the mailbox of all this junk mail? But I know what you're talking about in the paperwork is that it becomes inundating the older you get, because you have more paperwork to fill out for Medicare, you have more paperwork to fill out about other programs, just constant paperwork that makes the caregiver have to go through so much too.
Indeed, and most caregivers will not. That's the problem. It's usually left up to the senior, and then you add on cognitive issues and executive functioning issues that are waning. So it makes it even harder to know what's junk and what's real.
All right, so Ruth, let's kind of we talked about before some tips. Now, for older adults, what is the biggest pain right now? Because we talked about it the last time I had you on a year ago.
Yep.
What are the biggest pains that's happening always in paperwork that drives them nuts that they just put off?
So the biggest thing is that you just stay on it, even if you, and this is what I tell all my clients, whether they're 5 or 500, is that you have to just take your paperwork every day. You take your mail and you sort it. It takes about 15 minutes. You can get it down to about 10 minutes. That's the first step. Are you thinking about your own?
Yeah, no, that's no, not me. I don't get it. Well, I make sure most of my stuff's electronic. I'm smart. I don't inundate my stuff with paperwork. I'm smart because I know I would never get to it. But yeah, that's a great thing. What else is some good tips for?
Well, also that you get a lot of digital junk too. So that is the new paperwork glut. So we think we've escaped if we have everything on digital. So what I suggest people do is that they have one email account for all their junk mail. It's like anything you're interested in, but not sure if you're really that interested, open an account for all of that, so it does not get mixed in with all of your important email. So that's one thing I would say. Another is really every day you have to start to weed this stuff, because you get out of practice. It's like you build your chops for sorting. And then the next step is that you pay your bills right away. You have to put, have a pile that says to pay, and then a pile that says to follow up. Those would be the two main piles from there. Also, it's also really important to shred anything that has your vital information, including your address on it. Because when you throw it away, people are going through garbage cans, recycling bins, doing all kinds of nefarious actions.
So having a shredder is important.
Shredder's awesome. Yes. Yes. And if not, you gather everything and you go to like a UPS store once a month, and it's worth the cost of having it shredded for you.
Okay, anything else to think about for seniors right now? It all applies to us too, for sure.
For sure. And I think the thing too is this is not just about paperwork. Okay, this is a bigger theme here about really being responsible for the financial pieces of your life that often show up in your paperwork. It's like, are you ignoring something from the IRS that's really timely, that can save you money? Have you put aside a check that is only good for 90 days. And after that, you'll have to get a new one if you want to deposit it. It's really about taking control of your life.
Hmm.
Our lives are governed by paperwork. I mean, the first thing that happens is we get a birth certificate. We got a piece of paper when we're born.
No
And it's,
doubt. Okay. And where's best place people can go? And who do you usually work with? Your clients?
who are my clients, or who do
Yeah.
I actually have my key clients are seniors who I visit them in their home. I do everything from paperwork organization to helping them find lawyers for estate planning. I also pay their bills. Anything to do with their financial life, I help them with and support them on.
All right. So where can people go, Ruth?
They can go to 365financialcare.com. And if it may be for you, or it might be for your parent or someone you care about. So we have a conversation. I have a complimentary consultation for half an hour. So book your time. My calendar is right on my website.
All right. We appreciate it, Ruth. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you so much, Neil. It's been such a pleasure.
Same here. You're listening and watching the Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment.